Hello, everyone. I want to talk to you a little bit about political parties and the different aspects of a party. I apologize for the bad lighting in here. It's um, not great, but hopefully you can hear me just all right. And here are the main aspects of the political parties that you want to understand for the quiz for week 6. And you'll notice that there are 4 terms that have to do with parties on the passing Political Science 1513 sheet, and so here we go. These are mentioned, 3 of these 4 are mentioned in the reading in the Basics of American Government, but I want to go into a little more depth and talk about how they relate to each other. All right. So a political party should have a good understanding of that. These are groups that are organized to win elections. They are bound together by some shared beliefs, but also some compromises and coalition building. We looked at that in week 5. How does an actual political party work? Well, political scientists, generally speaking, have talked about 3 and then maybe 4 aspects. So for our purposes, we'll look at those 4 aspects of political parties in terms of like who actually makes decisions, who controls them. And the first one is the party organization. Okay, the party organization. And this is, if you think of the old, idea of the political machine, the party honchos who meet in the back rooms with the cigars and everything in the old days especially, the party organization used to really be in control of the parties much more than they are now. But there still is a party organization in each major party. You've got for the Republicans and Democrats, they have party chairs, they have state party chairs, they have a whole apparatus of people who set up the debates, they message for the party, they get out there and talk about and say what the party points are. The chairman of the Democratic Party is Tom Perez. He was a former official in President Obama's cabinet. The chair of the Republican National Committee is Ronna Romney McDaniel. She is very important in getting Republican message out there. And so the party organization is there to kind of do the professional work of the party. Politicians and voters, generally speaking, aren't going to be, setting campaign strategy for the party as a whole. They have input, but they're not the ones who are doing the hard everyday professional work of campaigns, fundraising, all that kind of stuff for the party as a whole. They'll do it for themselves. Politicians will do it for themselves. But this is a whole organization devoted to making the Democratic or Republican or third parties work. Okay, again, by fundraising, setting the rules for debates, campaigning. Okay, and because the party organizations are less powerful than they used to be in terms of just being able to say, all right, we're going to get the candidate we want. It seems that the biggest work that the party organizations do is to put a lot of money and expertise for the use of the candidates who win the elections. So they set up the process in cooperation with states and the federal government for how people are picked, the primaries and caucuses, and then the voters generally choose who's going to be the nominee for the party, and once that nominee is chosen, the party organization gets behind them, okay, and really puts again a lot of money and consultants and expertise and campaigning and commercials and things like that behind the person who's chosen. Okay, so that's the party organization, the professional people whose job it is to be a Republican or Democrat, in a sense. Okay, but without actually holding office. All right. Now, one of the things you're seeing if you're following the Democratic primary, and if you followed the Republican primary last time and the Democratic Party last time, is you've got this interesting phenomenon where you've got someone who's not really supported by the party organization, Bernie Sanders in the Democratic Party, Donald Trump last time, and Sanders last time, making a challenge to become the nominee. Okay, Donald Trump has not been a Republican very long before 2016. Bernie Sanders is still not a registered Democrat in the sense that he's an independent, and that has been very disruptive of the plans of the party organization. What I think you're also seeing is that the party organization doesn't have an awful lot of ability to stop this. Okay, there's some tools that are there, but especially in the Republican Party and to some degree in the Democratic Party, the party organization has a limited ability to actually stop the outsider from winning. Okay, it seems that there was at least some of that by the Democrats last time with Sanders, but they have less ability to do that this time. Okay, so party organization. The next is the party electorate, party in the electorate. These are the voters. Okay, in one sense, parties are their voters, people who identify as Republicans or Democrats. Some people are formally registered. Some states don't even allow people to formally register, and so when people study parties, they have to kind of say, all right, well, who calls themselves Republicans or Democrats or Green Party members or Libertarians? And so that the voters, on the one hand, make up the party too. You can't become somebody who's representing the party without getting votes, at least at some point. And whether they're through caucuses or primaries or whatever. Okay, and so this is also an important aspect, and we'll talk more about sort of the numbers behind it. But the party in the electorate is the voters who vote more consistently or less consistently for that party. Okay, so somebody who's a registered Republican or somebody who leans Republican, who more often than not votes Republican, has some aspect of influence. Okay, in the election as well. And so last time in the Republican primary, we saw that despite the wishes of the the party organization in 2016, actual Republican voters, enough of them liked Donald Trump, and more as time went on, and Republican voters now really like Donald Trump, generally speaking. Not all of them, but most of them. And so obviously voters have an impact too. It's not just the party organization. The third aspect of political parties is the party in government. Okay, political parties exist to get people elected and to elect them to office, wield political power. Okay, and so the party in government would be office holders who hold office and are registered as part of that party. Now, with elective office does come influence in the party. After all, again, they have power. They've won. They show the party organizations what's successful and where and why. Hopefully, or not. They don't show them why, but party organizations try to figure out why people are successful. Party organizations recruit people to run, and so they they're going to figure out, generally speaking, well, it's probably better to have conservatives in Alabama and liberals in Massachusetts, and so if a Republican wants to win in Massachusetts, then it probably has to be a moderate to liberal Republican, and if a Democrat wants to win in Alabama, it's probably best to be a conservative to moderate Democrat. So that people who are in the party as elected officials have control. And the biggest example of this is that when a party succeeds in getting a president elected, okay, that president generally becomes the head of the party in one sense. Okay, so the entire Republican Party is influenced by Donald Trump, and in one sense, he's the head of the Republican Party. He's not the chair of the committee, but he really helps to set the agenda. It's the same way with President Obama, with the Democrats from 2009 to 2017. Okay, and so that's really important too. That it's not just the party organization, but it's also the party in the electorate, the voters, the party in government, and the elected officials of the party in government, have a say too. They have their own agendas. They have their own skins to save, in a sense, when there are elections. So it seems like some more moderate or less progressive Democrats, in a sense, are concerned that if Bernie Sanders is the nominee, he's going to lead to them losing their elections. There are others who are saying, no, we got to support Bernie Sanders, and he's going to lead this big turnout, and we need to make the United States more progressive. And so there are Democrats in Congress, say, who disagree with each other about who's the best Democrat to lead the party. Okay, and Megan McArdle pointed out, and I think she's right, that when a party controls the presidency, it tends to be more united. Okay, and so Republicans have gotten pretty united around Donald Trump, and not only because he won, but also because his influence in the party organization and among the voters is strong. Okay, so those are the three classic aspects of a party: party organization, the professionals, okay, that make the party work day to day, the voters, without whom there is no political success, and the party in the government, who are the people whose whole, the goal of the party is to get party people in government. Okay, so all those three are important. Now, the last of them is the extended party network. Okay, and maybe this is something that's become more important over time, but you can see this in an article I will link in the discussion from the Washington Post, from a political scientist, Daniel Hopkins, and he talks about how every party has got those three, but also what you call the extended party network, which is interest groups who are generally aligned with the party. Okay, so this would be like Planned Parenthood for the Democrats, and other abortion rights groups, pro-life or anti-abortion groups for Republicans, the National Rifle Association for Republicans. You've got these various interest groups that are generally aligned with one party or another. Not all interest groups are like that, but some are very much on one side or the other. Okay, that's part of the extended party network. Other kinds of groups that are trying to shape the party in their image. Okay, you've also got financial donors, the big wealthy donors who want the party to win and take on their issues. They have influence in this extended party network. Okay, you also have media sources. Okay, that are they're like Fox News for the Republicans, or conservative talk radio also for the Republicans. It seems that those media sources are more important for the Republicans than the Democrats, according to Hopkins. But you can think about also various liberal, progressive, sometimes socialist sites and sources that are trying to pull things in their direction in the Democratic Party too. So these different aspects of the extended party network, people who generally identify with one party or another, have more voice, organization, influence, money, also play into it here too. And so one way you could think about, again, using a recent example of Donald Trump, is he ran against the establishment in his party, right? I mean, he came out and said things that, generally speaking, Republicans didn't like, Republican elected officials. But at least in my interpretation, he understood that there was a gap between the voters in Republican primaries and what candidates often said. That there wasn't a whole lot of trust for Republican politics as usual among Republican voters. And he realized that these extended party networks were, in a sense, more trusted than the party officials and the party in government, the party organization. And he was right about that. So he talked about immigration in a way that was much more like what Republican voters wanted to hear and were often hearing on their extended party network and in their media sources, right? Their interest groups. he very much understood that a key issue for a lot of Republican voters was abortion, and he hadn't had a history of being against abortion, right? And so what he did was he said, I'm pro-life, and here are the judges I'll appoint, and he's been very good at courting pro-life groups, right, anti-abortion groups. So I think Trump realized this, or his advisors realized it, or something, that there are some new forces at work here in politics, and he was able to understand that better than some. The article that, again, from the Washington Post that I'll link applies, this to Roy Jones in Alabama, who basically said, "Hey, I'm against the establishment in Washington," and so you'll get politicians who say it's the Washington establishment's fault, and really play into the extended party networks. Okay, so those are the four aspects of political parties. One, the party organization, the professionals who make it work day to day and help candidates get elected. Secondly, the party and the electorate, the voters who actually cast the votes that get them there. Third, the party officials who are there if they get enough votes. And fourth, the extended party network, the media, interest group, financial donor, web of influences that shape the way that campaigns go as well, by supporting certain causes and people, sometimes in cooperation with the party organization, but sometimes in opposition to it. All right. If you have questions about this, we'll talk more about it in class.